Good morning, sixth graders. So today we're going to continue talking about ratios. We're going to look at comparing ratios using ratio tables. So we are going to look first at example 1. So example 1 says first to create 4 equivalent ratios. Remember we've talked about that. 2 by scaling up and 2 by scaling down. So that means 2 equivalent ratios that we are making by making it bigger and 2 by making it smaller using the ratio of 30 to 80. So this is our ratio that we're starting with, 30 to 80. So we need to make 2 that scale up and 2 that scale down. So I'm going to make an arrow up to tell me that these are mine that are scaling up, and an arrow down saying these are mine that are scaling down. So to scale down, we can divide both sides of our ratio, or both numbers in our ratio, by the same number to make it smaller. The first thing that I see right away is that both of these numbers, 30 and 80, are both multiples of 10. So my first ratio for scaling down, I'm going to start scaling down, is going to be dividing both sides by 10 to give us 3 to 8. So that's my first ratio. Then from there, I can kind of scale that ratio up as long as it's not bigger than 30 to 80. And I could, say, multiply both of those numbers by 2 to get 6 to 12. Then to scale up, I'm going to take that ratio, 30 to 80, and I'm going to multiply both numbers by 2. And I'll get 60 to 160. Then to scale up again, I can multiply that ratio, 30 to 80, times 3 and get 90 to 240. All 4 of those ratios are equivalent to this ratio of 30 to 80. Okay, all we did to scale up was we multiplied our ratio by 2, by 3, by 4, by whatever number, as long as it's getting bigger. And to scale down, we divided by 10, divided by 2, divided by different numbers to make our ratio smaller. So now we're looking at this ratio table. So it says to write a ratio to describe the relationship shown in the table. So if we look at this table, we have 2 hours. In 2 hours, we have 16 pizzas that are sold. In 5 hours, we have 40 pizzas that are sold. In 6 hours, we have 48 pizzas that are sold. And in 10 hours, we have 80 pizzas that are sold. So we want to come up with a ratio that's going to describe this relationship. And when we do that, we want our ratio to be as small as possible. Right? When we looked at our previous question, 30 to 80, we brought it to its very simplest form, to its kind of smallest form of 3 to 8. We can't really make it any smaller than that. So let's take a look at our ratios. We have 2 to 16, 5 to 40, 6 to 48, and 10 to 80. So we can scale these ratios down to make them into kind of a smaller ratio that was probably used to make this table. So we can pick any one of the ratios to scale down. Personally, I'm going to go with the last one just because that last one is multiples of 10, so that's easy to scale down. So we have this ratio of 10 to 80. So for every 10 hours, they sell 80 pizzas. And if I want to scale that down, I'm going to divide both sides by 10. So 10 divided by 10 gives me 1. And 80 divided by 10 gives me 8. So the ratio of 1 to 8 is the ratio that was used to create this table. Right? All 4 of those ratios are equivalent to 1 to 8. Right? 2 to 16 is equivalent, 5 to 40, 6 to 48, 10 to 80. They're all equivalent to 1 to 8. Alrighty, let's take a look at exercise 1. So we're going to use the following tables for Michaela, Jenna, and Maria. And these ratio tables are going to tell us how many words each person can text in a certain amount of time. And we're going to compare these numbers. Okay. So if we look at these for Michaela, in 3 minutes, she can text 150 words. In 5 minutes, 250. In 7 minutes, 350. In 9 minutes, 450. Jenna can text 90 words in 2 minutes, 180 words in 4 minutes, 270 words in 6 minutes, and 360 words in 8 minutes. And then Maria can text 120 words in 3 minutes, 240 in 6 minutes, 360 in 9 minutes, and 480 in 12 minutes. So let's take a look and see if we can kind of figure out who texts the fastest. We're going to kind of compare them. So the first thing I'm going to do is look and see if we have any minutes that are the same. So I see that both Michaela and Maria have a number for 3 minutes. Right? In 3 minutes, Michaela can text 150 words, and in 3 minutes, Maria can text 120 words. So that tells me that Michaela texts faster than Maria. Right? Michaela texts faster than Maria. But what about Jenna? Right? Jenna doesn't have a 3-minute kind of calculation. So let's see if we can figure that out and figure out if Jenna's faster than both of them, if she's only faster than one of them, or if she's the slowest texter. Let's see. So she has this ratio of 2 to 90. So 90 we know is an even number, so we can divide it by 2. So we're going to divide both of these numbers by 2 to get an equivalent ratio. So 2 divided by 2 is going to give me 1. 90 divided by 2 gives me 45. Okay, so we can multiply that by 3 to get her time for 3 minutes. But instead, let's make a really good comparison, and we'll scale them all down to how many words they type in 1 minute. So Michaela types 3 words in 150 minutes. Both of those numbers we can divide by 3. We divide 1 by 3 and we get 1, or 3 by 3, sorry. 150 divided by 3 gives us 50. Okay, so in 1 minute she can text 150 words. Maria in 3 minutes texts 120 words. Again, both of those numbers are divisible by 3. We divide 3 by 3 and get 1. And we divide 120 by 3 and get 40. So it looks like Michaela is the fastest. So Michaela texts faster than Maria and Jenna. So I'm going to add and Jenna to that sentence. All right, so we took all of those kind of smallest ratios that our table gave us, and we scaled them down to 1 minute so that we could compare how many words each girl texts in 1 minute. So let's take a look. So it says to complete the table, our next exercise says to complete the table so that it shows Max has a texting rate of 55 words per minute. So our ratio is going to be 1 to 55. 1 minute, 55 words. So in 1 minute, he can text 55 words. We can choose kind of any numbers we want for our minutes. I'm just going to do 2, 3, and 4. So for 2, we are going to multiply both of our numbers in our ratio by 2. So 1 times 2 gives us 2. 55 times 2 gives us 110. So in 2 minutes, he can text 110 words. In 3 minutes, we're going to multiply 55 by 3. And in 3 minutes, he can text 165 words. And for 4 minutes, we multiply 55 times 4, and he can text 220 words in 4 minutes. Okay, so all of those equations are equivalent to 1 to 55. Right, so you can choose any numbers you want for your minutes. You can stick with 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to challenge yourself, you can do bigger numbers. You can do different numbers. It's up to you. So let's take a look at exercise 2 really quick. So we are comparing juice. It says the tables below show the comparison of the amount of water to the amount of juice concentrate, they're going to abbreviate it JC, in grape juice made by 3 different people. Whose juice has the greatest water to juice concentrate ratio and whose juice is the strongest? Justify your answers. So we want to see whose has the greatest water to juice ratio and then whose is the strongest, who has the highest juice to water ratio. So let's take a look at our table. So I see that we have Laredo's juice. So he has 12 to 4, 15 to 5, 21 to 7, and 45 to 15. And Franca's juice, she has 10 to 2, 15 to 3, 25 to 5, and 40 to 8. And Milton's juice, he has 8 to 2, 16 to 4, 24 to 6, and 40 to 10. So just like we did with the girls and the texting rates, let's see if we can find any common numbers. So I see that both Laredo and Franca have 15 4 cups of water. And Laredo has a higher amount of juice. He has a greater amount of juice than Franca. So Laredo has the higher number of, or the highest amount of juice, or has a higher amount of juice than, I'm getting all mixed up here. Sorry about that, y'all. So Laredo has a higher amount of juice in 15 cups of water than Franca. So we can see that. And then we can compare, Franca to Milton with 40. Milton has more juice than Franca does in her 40 than in his 40. So we can use that, or we can do what we did with the girls and we can take these ratios and kind of scale them down to make them as small as we can. So let's start with kind of figuring out ratio, or what our kind of base ratio is going to be. So for Laredo, let's go with 12 to 4, since that's our smallest ratio. We can divide both of those by 4, and we get 3 to 1. So for every 1 cup of juice, he has 3 cups of water. Franca, we can do 10 to 2. Both of those are divisible by 2. We divide 10 by 2 and get 5, and 2 by 2 and get 1. So for every 5 cups of water, she has 1 cup of juice. And Milton can look at 8 to 2. Again, both of those are divisible by 2. And 8 divided by 2 gives us 4 and 1. So for every 4 cups of water, he has 1 cup of juice. So first we want to figure out who has the highest water to juice ratio. So who has the most juice or the most water for 1 cup of juice. And that is Franca. All right, so Franca has the highest water to juice ratio. And then we want to see whose juice is the strongest. So who has kind of the smallest water to juice ratio. And it looks like Laredo's is the smallest, right? He only has 3 cups of water for 1 cup of juice. Then we need to put them in order from the most water to the least water. So the most water is Franca, then Milton, then Laredo. We're not going to worry about explaining how we use the values. We kind of talked about that. And we'll list the ratios. We'll kind of relist the ratios. So Laredo was a 3-to-1 ratio. Franca was a 5-to-1 ratio. And Milton is a 4-to-1 ratio of juice to water. Okay, and then we are actually going to skip over the last 2 pages. So you don't need to worry about those last 2. But let's take a look really quick at our independent practice. So you have 2 questions. Number 1, you're determining who is the faster swimmer, Sarah or Eva, and explain how you figured that out. Whether you compared numbers, you made them into unit ratios with that has a 1 in it, however you figured it out. And number 2, you're creating a ratio table to determine where somebody would weigh the most on which moon, okay? So you only have a couple of questions there, and it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty much what we just did. So very quickly, let me give you your secret word today. And your secret word today is chilly. Not chilly like you eat, but chilly like it's cold. So that is your secret word today. So please make sure you have that written down on your paper. If you run into any problems, you have any questions, you get stuck on anything, please let me know or let Miss Sally know. We're both here. We're both happy to help. Alrighty? Have a fantastic rest of your day, 6th graders.